So let's get started. Your tree kit today is going to come with some topper stems, and we've already prearranged these topper stems. Some people say, can't we just put them all together and stick them straight down the front of the tree? Yes, you can, but my recommendation is that you put the stems in individually, and here's why. If they all go together in one glob, you are forced to pick one side of the tree topper to place them. And we want to make the topper appear in the round. So you're going to get one of these fun aqua blue accent stems. It's super light and airy. Both that one and the white sword fern are so full that they'll fill this tree topper in the round. And then two pieces of our beautiful ice berry, one of my favorites, and that will give us a front and back or left and right. When you're placing your stems in the tree, if your tree is pre-lit like ours is, you're going to have a lot of light cord wires running through the tree, and that actually is a benefit when you're inserting the topper stems. When I stick my first stem in, this is running next to the pole of the tree. You might want to check the camera, Kate. And the pole of the tree has light cord wires running around it, and the tree stem sliding down next to the center, this pick sliding next to the center of the tree is actually standing upright and being supported because there's light cord wires, and I've slipped the stem through a couple of them here. So it's just balancing next to the middle of the pole of my tree. The next stem is going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to snug it right up next to the other one, running side by side. And then I try to sort of pull a few of the pieces around and shape it so they're blending and balancing and covering the center. Do you see how we just sort of mixed them a little bit? Now, assuming this is the front to you, I'm going to use a left and a right. And these can be opened up a little bit. This set has been put on the tree and photographed once, so it's pretty shaped, but don't be afraid to loosen things up a little bit and spread out all the berries on the stem. And then we're going to make sure these drop down low enough that my tip of my tree is right here. It's about halfway or 1/3 of the way down below all these stems. I'm adding height with my stems. If your ceiling is 8.5 feet tall and you have, or is 8 feet tall and you have a 7.5 foot tree, do the same technique, just drop the stems a little lower in your tree. But if you have the space to add the height, look how pretty that is. It really makes your tree seem a whole foot taller and nice and light and airy. Because you've got 5 bows, they're pre-tied for you, and you've got 3 different kinds of ribbon here. You're going to get a woolly plaid, that's a flannel. You're going to get this pretty denim blue color and a little bit of bling. It's a shiny metallic with frosty white. They've got nice heavy duty wires on them. The bottoms of the ribbon, you can fold the raw edges, just fold them over. If they don't come folded, you might need to do that in your home just to clean up the edges and create a finished edge. Fold it over. That also tucks in the wires and ensures that the ribbon's not going to start fraying or running. One on each side of the center. So basically these are going to tuck right underneath your red berry and add to the topper. Now, one mistake people make is placing these bows too low and they feel disconnected from the topper. I like to visualize them as the base of the topper. So I snug them up pretty close to my topper stems, and because there's longer wires, my wires are actually crossing over my top stems, and by doing so, they're locking those into place. So that way, if you have lit the tree yourself and those light cord wires aren't winding in there, these longer wires on my bow will ensure that that keeps your top stems upright and in place, and they won't be falling out. So you can just bend them around the topper, and once you get them in place, pull the loops apart, and that's going to fan about 2/3 of the way around the tree. Then your little tails, you can work them in rather than letting them float on the top of your tree. It really depends a lot on the structure of your tree and what it wants to do. Once you get them in place, is your tree really full and all those ribbons just sit and float on the surface? If so, you kind of have to tuck them in a little bit, because we're giving you lots of tails. Because there's 3 kinds of ribbon, you're getting a lot of tails. So look how much fullness that already gave to the top of our tree. So we could consider our topper done, and I do that first because that way I can get my ladder up close and I can make sure that I have finished the top and not disrupted anything on the bottom by bumping it and moving it around. Then you're going to have a set of 3 each of 2 different stem sets. And this is what we call a stem set. When we take stems and stack them in a particular order, and that will allow you to be able to see focal points instead of a scattered mix of stems everywhere. So with this particular magnolia stem set, you're going to get the bundles wrapped together so you'll know which pieces go together. But we're going to show you, just in case they are mixed around, you're going to layer this long trailing greenery stem with the red stem. Then we're going to place our white glittery frosty piece on there. And you can shape those. This is very easy to curve and curl around here. Then we have a touch of blue. We've pre-cut these into smaller chunks to just lightly add that touch of blue throughout your tree, not go too heavy on that. And then we top that with our magnolia spray, which has some extra berries and components. Look at this big stem set. Isn't that pretty? And with that in place, this is kind of our front and center idea right here. So we're going to, you could cut this if your tree is skinny. We're just going to let it go through the tree and not worry about it. But we're laying it on the surface of a branch. And if you lay it on the surface of a branch, you're going to be sure that it will stay in place. If you drop it into a hole or a space in the tree, it could move around. So that would be one way to ensure that it's going to stay put. Can you hand me that chart there on the clipboard? And that way we're going to stack the next 2 sets and make sure that these are set up the same way. So let me quickly redo that for you. Greenery, berry, white filler stem, spread it out a little bit, and top it all off with our blue and magnolia. Just like so. All of the stems are short except for this one. We're going to place our magnolias, because they're the biggest stem set, towards the bottom of the tree. So I'm going to add one out over to the side over here and one off to the other side. I think we're done with the ladder. And just for the sake of your view, I'm going to make sure I don't push this stem set too far around. Make sure you can see it. But at your home, it should be covering about 2/3 or the front of your tree. If you feel like it's going to fall out of your tree, you can always cross your stem sets and with pine tips and secure them into the tree. Then our second stem set grouping is a little bit smaller, and you're getting 3 of these as well. And if you stack them up in the same manner, we're going to add a little frostiness to your tree. This is really fun. If your tree is green, like our demo tree, you're going to like the fact that there's white added. So this big chunky weeping pine spray is a really showstopper piece in a green tree. It's going to trail out. If your tree is frosted, it's going to add dimension by sticking out of your tree. We're laying this red stem off of it. You might want to curve the red stem a little bit because you want it to drape out of your tree and not stick out straight and awkwardly. And then the same thing about the gingerbread leaf piece. It does need to be shaped, and it looks nice if you give it a bit of a curve. This will have to happen at your house because we will have set this tree up in the store here. I photographed it, but shipped it to you flat. So give everything a nice drape for you here. And then our blue pieces with this, we're going to use these as a little bit of a accent and intersperse them here. I'm going to place one below the magnolia towards the bottom, sort of stacked. And then I've got 2 more that we're going to do a left and a right. Now they can be straight across, or you can offset them a little bit. I usually offset just to keep it a bit asymmetrical. Okay. And this one's going to go, let's put it over here. And you'll be able, once it's placed, to bend them around so that everything is visualized and kind of just maximize the view of it all. and angling those leaves down helps them show. Well, I'm a short person, that's why. If I lay those over, I can see them better. This is just such a pretty set. So if your tree is flocked, like one of our demo trees here in the store in our collection, it'll have a little different appearance because it starts out so much more white. If your tree is green, we're adding this frostiness. And if you really enjoy how much this snowed pine changes the look of your green tree, you are always welcome to buy some add-on snow pine pieces and fill even more in, which can make your tree and transform it into a softer color palette. It's so trendy right now to have snow trees, but they are messy. So this is a trick that really elevates the tree with an easier finish for you. So now we've got our 6 stem sets placed. We have some room here in the middle for a focal point, and we have a beautiful little accent that's coming to you as the star of the show for our Snow Days tree. So we're going to place ornaments now. And as we do, we know we've got 3 more little stem accent sets here that we can put in too. They kind of will be handy as you go along to fill in. So if you're not sure where you need 3 more floral sprays, you could get started on your ornaments and then add these little floral sprays in the gaps to fill in. So let's do that. My bow needs to land. We've got 3 more bows. We need to space them out in the gaps that we've created between the flowers. So again, make sure you shape up your ribbons and flip over the ends of the tails by giving them a couple folds. Now you could make a V cut in these if you want to take the time at home. If you cut a little V and have a pointed tip, it does give it a little bit more character. So either way, we're just going to send them to you straight cut, and you can decide on that aspect. We're going to place this bow right underneath our little buddy up here and give him something cute to sit on. And also, those tails really fill in our gaps too. So you sit up there, we're going to tuck these in, and I'm kind of looping them in, letting the ends pop back out. Don't be afraid to mess with it. Sometimes you decorate, put the ornaments in, and come back in and shape the ribbon last because you bump it. Then we need to balance 2 more bows. So we have some natural gaps here and here. Do you see them? Works pretty easily to fill in our spaces. So double checking that and eyeball it. You can just step back, check your work, lay them where they need to go, and wire those in. They're going to give you lots of nice color. Ribbon is like the best way to really add some wow factor, change up the dynamic direction of your tree with accent colors. We're going to wire this one a little towards the front so you can see it better, but at your home, you're welcome to stretch these things around your tree a little bit farther too. So there we're getting a nice balanced start to our tree. You can see all the flowers are balancing. At an instant, your view is showing this stem set is a really nice focal point, a chunk of color. If those pieces were spread apart, it would be very busy and mixed around, but by creating these sets, it gives you these nice focal points that makes a neater, cleaner look and it instantly draws your eye in. Let's grab some ornaments next and place some of these bigger ornaments before we add our extra picks with bells, and before we add the last little bows that are our final embellishments. So we've got some minty aqua blue-green accents along with red for you, and that is going to be a lot of fun. Start with the largest ornaments first. Those always look best placed deeper in the tree. It's definitely not something you want to hang out on the tip. You want to have those featured a little further in to draw your eye in. Let's just pick 2 good spots to place those and pop those in the tree here for some nice color. You also have a showstopper glass piece. We're sending you one Merry Christmas ornament. And he could go up here on this side, right at eye level, so you can see the message on that ornament. That would be fun. Next largest size, the round ones. Let's drop those a little bit lower and tuck those in deeper. If you have any ornaments from previous years that are solid red, that would be a great way to use something you have as well to make your tree look fuller. Put more of your existing red ornaments in if you have them and you want to make the tree have more product on it. Let's add the yarn balls next. Aren't those pretty? They have the character of all the colors, plus the yarn is just a fun, cozy look, don't you think? And so are these little guys. They're like knit sweaters, really fun. We're gonna add those. Let's place one high, wiggle it in the tree there, and how about one down here, front and center. You will have better luck placing your bead garlands if you wait towards the end. These have little handles on them, and we want to swag them not perfectly straight across, but give it a little bit of an angle. And it's nice to make sure that the tassel shows. So let's swoop it one time and work its way up over here. If you don't like where you placed it the first time, just step back, check your work, and move it, right? No problem. And our lower one, we'll use, on my tree, there's some nice tips that really project out farther. So I'm using those to make sure that the bead garland is free hanging and not kind of getting hung up on the tree itself. Hopefully your tree has the ability to pull that and drape nicely. If not, I've got a tip for you later on as well in a follow-up for some other ideas. These two long icicles, acrylic and very frosty, catch the light so nice at night. Let's give them some space where they're going to show up too and hang freely. Okay, we have used the ornament collection all up. Now we've got a couple more fun things to place. These noisy bells. So you're going to get some entertainment here. We're going to use those little bells together with our berry pick. Just kind of nestle them together. If you want to make sure they stay together, twist the bell around the stem and get that all set together as one grouping. Really fun. A little bit of shine in there. Catches the light. Now this is where you're going to use anything that has been left as a hole in your tree. You're going to use this to fill in your holes. I've kind of moved a lot of things towards the center here, so there's not too many holes showing. Let's pick this spot. I love how the twigs stick out of the tree and add a little bit more dimension. We're just laying them together. Maybe twist them if you'd like. Arrange the bells, the pine cones. Spread the stems open a little bit. Let them have some air. It's all wired and bendable. Doesn't hurt to make some more space there. And let's see, we've got some space over here. The spikiness is nice because it really sticks out of the tree and adds some more fun dimension. And then I'm going to use this one up towards the top. I see a little hole over here, and that will help me add. And this one, maybe instead of angling it down, I'm just going to angle that one up. Depends how it turns out at your house. So really nice full start to our tree, don't you think? I'm sending you a couple yards, 3 chunks of this fine ribbon. Now narrow ribbon is really a fun trend right now, and we're just going to use it to add a little bit more of a cozy homespun feel to your tree. It's going to be better for us just to ship that in a rolled up piece of yardage. This 2-yard chunk, I think, it needs the ends folded over again. Let's do that to make sure that they don't fray. So just flipping over and rolling the ends. And then I know you all know how to tie a shoelace, right? That's all you need to do at your house is tie a shoelace. There we go. Tie it loosely. You don't have to pull it really tight. It's actually prettier if you keep it a little softer. And that is simply what we're going to do to add a little bit more wow to our tree. He just needs to float and rest somewhere so you can get a nice extra embellishment for that bow. So just tie a few little shoelace bows. You'll have 3 chunks to do that with. Pick 3 good spots, and they just sit on the surface of a branch with the tails running down through your tree. This is wired ribbon, so once I place them, I can actually tuck and move the tails and they will hold a little bit. They have some nice wire in them. So that is one final embellishment that gives you a little bit more of detail, and that creates a fun look that is unique for your tree, just to have all these different layers. I might add that one right over there to the bell. Looks good to me. So this could come out a little bit differently at your home. but we've sent you everything in the kit that you see here to ensure that you have a successful tree design. There's always more to be added, but this will get you off to a great start, so enjoy this Snow Days tree look.